Hey guys, today is March 5th, 2026, and here are my free picks of the day. I also have my full slate, including some bonus picks over on my Patreon. If you're interested, the link is in the description, so be sure to check that out. But with that being said, let's jump into today's picks. First up, we've got the Bruins versus Predators, and I think Nashville wins this one outright. I can see the final score being something like 4-3. Nashville is playing at home, which definitely helps, and they've got a solid goalie with over 220 career wins. The Bruins, on the other hand, have been pretty inconsistent. They're scoring a little over 3 goals per game, and their penalty kill is ranked 26th in the league, which means they give up power play goals way too often. Nashville's power play is actually pretty solid, and in games where they score more than 2 goals, they're 21-6 on the season. So the bottom line here is that if Nashville's offense shows up tonight, then this one should go their way. I'm going with the Predators moneyline. Next game is Bulls versus Suns. Right now, Chicago is on a 5-game road losing streak, and they've gone 2-8 in their last 10 road games. They're also giving up over 121 points per game when playing on the road. In this matchup, the Suns are at home, and they've won about 75% of their games as favorites this season. Defensively, Phoenix gives up around 111 points per game, which ranks 6th in the league, while Chicago allows about 120, which is one of the worst marks in the NBA. The Suns also beat the Bulls 127-121 the last time that they played, and they've won the last 10 head-to-head matchups. The spread is a little big, which makes me somewhat hesitant, but I still think the Suns can get it done. I'm riding with Phoenix to cover the spread. Moving on to the Jazz versus Wizards, and right off the bat, both teams are pretty bad. But if you look at the numbers, Utah is actually the better team. Their net rating is better than Washington's by over 3 points per 100 possessions, and their offensive rating is higher as well. This game probably comes down to a coin flip, but the Wizards have one of the worst offenses in the league. Utah has better ball movement, they shoot more efficiently, and they've been a little more competitive overall. So I think taking the points with Utah is the move here. At the time of this recording, the spread is at 3, so I'm going with Utah Jazz plus 3. But again, since this game feels like a coin flip, that spread could definitely move throughout the day. Next up is Kennesaw State versus UTEP, and this one is pretty straightforward. Kennesaw State is outscoring their opponents by about 8 points per game, and they're putting up around 84 points a night, which ranks the top 30 in college basketball. UTEP is only scoring about 69 points per game. Kennesaw also has the edge in rebounding and 3-point shooting. The spread here is pretty tight, but considering all those factors, I think Kennesaw State can come out on top. I'm taking Kennesaw State minus 2.5. The next game is Mammoth versus Flyers. The Mammoth are scoring a little over 3 goals per game, and when you compare that to Philadelphia, who's sitting at under 3 goals per game, Utah has a significantly more efficient offense. On top of that, Utah only allows about 2.7 goals per game, which is the 5th best mark in the NHL, while the Flyers give up more than 3 goals per game. Philadelphia is also 4-4-2 in their last 10 games and has allowed 27 goals during that stretch. Utah is the better defensive team by a pretty wide margin, and I think they should control this matchup. I'm going Mammoth moneyline. Moving on to Nets versus Heat. I know Brooklyn has been bad, and they're currently on a 9-game losing streak, but the spread here is 13 points, which is a massive number. Even if Miami wins, I think it's probably going to be by 8 points or less, which gives Brooklyn a pretty big cushion on the spread. Miami is also missing 4 rotation players, including one of their top scorers. Brooklyn just lost by 26 points on Tuesday, and I think that blowout is part of the reason that this spread is so inflated. All we really need is for Brooklyn to keep it within 13, and I think they can do that. So for this one, I'm taking Nets plus 13. Next up, we've got Pistons versus Spurs. San Antonio has won 9 out of their last 10 games and 5 straight at home, and their last win was a 40-point blowout. Over their last 10 games, they're averaging about 123 points per game and shooting 50% from the field. Detroit is a solid team too, but they're on the road, and this Spurs team is just playing at a really high level right now. I'm taking the Spurs to cover the 3.5 point spread. Next game is Raptors versus Timberwolves. And look, Minnesota is a good team, they're probably going to win this game, but if they do, I think it should be somewhere in the 2 to 5 point range. But the Raptors here are getting a 6.5 point cushion on the spread, which is pretty valuable. I think Toronto can do enough to stay within that number, so I'm going Raptors plus 6.5. And then finally, we have Warriors versus Rockets. The Warriors are missing Steph Curry, but 9.5 points is still a lot to lay against any team. Even without Curry, Golden State's defense ranks 11th in the league, so they're still capable of limiting their opponents. Over their last 10 games, they've gone 5-5, which shows that they can stay competitive away from home. Houston is a great team as well, but they're also dealing with a few questionable players. The market is basically saying that the Rockets run away with a 10-point win or more, but I think the Warriors can keep it within that number by the end of the 4th quarter. So I'm taking the Warriors plus 9.5. But there you have it. Those are my free picks for today. Again, I've got more picks available on my Patreon, which you can find in the description. Thanks for watching.